But one of the things that's raised up as we go into talking about the issue of pacifism or nonviolence is there any war that can ever be just? Is war ever a good option? And that has been the other aspect within the Christian church. We're going to talk more about that next week, and also about just peacemaking, about the journey beforehand. But I want to have just want to show more scene here to kind of close the time out if we could.
But do you really believe you could use nonviolence against someone like Hitler?
Not without defeats and great pain. But are there no defeats in this war? No pain? What you cannot do is accept injustice from Hitler or anyone. You must make the injustice visible. Be prepared to die like a soldier to do so.
So when people have talked about the issue of nonviolence and war, often they use the example of Hitler saying, went to work with Hitler, right? You know what I'm talking about? All right. And what does Gandhi say about dealing with Hitler? He says, well, he says, I think it would work. He says, but not without defeats and suffering. He says, there are no defeats in this war. There's no suffering in this war, right? Anytime you have a war, what are the odds of winning? Well, in 50-50, if you talk about who actually gets the other side to surrender, one of the questions raised is, does anybody win? Think about the idea of dealing with the issue in a non-violent way is hope that everybody can win. And if you read studies, basically what you find is that when wars are won with violent means, that they often are won more quickly, but the long-term difficulties are much greater. That the wars have been fought by non-violence take much longer. But the suffering is far less because only one side suffers, those who are willing to suffer without striking back. And in the long run, there's greater healing. You guys have heard of South Africa, Bishop Desmond Tutu? It took decades there. And when they finally brought reform and freedom and tear up the terrible oppression of the native tribes there, the Africans there, who had suffered under the minority who were white, instead of striking back, you know what they did? They created a government commission called the Truth and Reconciliation Commission. That the whole point was to forgive those who had done wrong so that those who had lost them could find out what happened to them and to try and bring healing. And you hear powerful stories of people sharing about terrible things that had been done to people. And in fact, I remember a friend of mine sharing about this woman whose son had been killed by this police officer, and how she shared she wanted to take this police officer into her home because someone needed to help him in his treatment. Right? And those are things that kind of go beyond us. And I think sometimes we want to dismiss this way very easily. We say, well, look what happened to Martin Luther King when he tried this. What happened to him? Right, he was killed. We look at guerrilla warfare and we say, well, let's say Che Guevara, he got killed, so that must not work. It's going to be a difficult path. I want to invite us to, wherever we are, really consider deeply that if we're coming from the way of Jesus, that even at most, that this way of just war, we really cause us to wrestle with these things as Christians. And to think about this, especially as we're still in a time of war. Even though it seems to be on the back burner for us, it's real. And ask, what does it mean as people of faith to live in a country at war? Where do we stand in